Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The drifters, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the men's room.
Hey, away we go. Welcome to show number 2781. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, The Ted Smith, Robin Fox, and my cock. And you are in the men's room. On tap today, the return of Who Sucks Less. A positive drinking story holds the key to a long and happy life. Get ready to play Profile This. Plus headlines, the men's room shot of the day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted.
Click clack.
All right, here we go. Illinois man steals car, rams it through the airport terminal, then onto the tarmac before hopping onto a plane. Meanwhile, Florida man kayaking river attacked by an otter, who even by otter standards was insane. Lamar Chambers fought the law, and the law does not win. Utah looking to name highway after man who looks for my wife's pregnant, how about some porn action skin? And drunk driving Virginia man runs himself over. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, we're all familiar with the old saying, hindsight is 20/20, and that's great. But 20/20 foresight, that would obviously be a lot more useful. Take, for example, the woman in Minnesota who discovered that the man of her dreams was actually a womanizing con man. That's not my quote. That's a quote from, well, the article about him in the magazine The Atlantic. They specifically wrote an article about the womanizing con man. He was the guy. She didn't discover this until later. But this is what happens. There's a family in Colorado. They recently bought a box of Quaker 100% natural granola cereal. Now, they thought the cereal tasted kind of weird, even for 100% natural granola, but that's when they discovered that the sell-by date was February 22nd, 1997. Remember, the sell-by date was from 1997. Keep in mind, that means the store had this thing on the shelf for 21 years. Bet you wish they'd known that before taking a spoonful. Similarly, McDonald's made this huge announcement earlier this week. They just announced that 3,500 of its stores just started serving, and all of their stores will begin serving by May. You ready for this? Fresh beef. We're going to let that sink in for a second. They just started serving fresh beef. McDonald's has been serving hamburgers since 1954. But look, it's McDonald's. Everyone cracks their jokes. Here's one for you. Imagine you're surprised when you find out that pit beef stand on the side of the road that you told your friends to go to, it's the best pit beef I've had. I don't know what this guy's secret is, but man, oh man, I go to this pit beef stand. Well, imagine how they felt when they found out that place was run by a cannibal. We're not kidding. We're going to share the story. Mm-hmm. There was some beef in your pit beef, but there's also some Larry in your pit beef. Just know that. Anyway, all these stories, they got us just thinking, man, oh man, sometimes you kind of wish you knew in advance, which you didn't find out until later. So here is today's question. Good or bad? What did you find out after the fact?
To be part of the big show, call 844-999-OLA. You can like The Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to themensroom@mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitches. You're listening to the Men's Room.
Hold the Charles, and away we go. Welcome to show number 2,781. What a large and charged show we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat. The return of Who Sucks Less. A positive drinking story is back, and believe it or not, the key to a long life exists within a positive drinking story and alcohol. Coming up, of course, a little profile of this. We'll drink a toast. Shout of the day is on the way. And today we're going to talk about things that you found out after the fact. There's all kinds of things you find out after the fact. I mean, and sometimes it's okay. Other times, it's not so great. It's like when your favorite restaurant gets shut down by the health department. You know what I mean?
Right. You didn't realize that there were rats floating in the deep fry.
Maybe you didn't get sick. Maybe you liked the food. It was cheap, whatever happened. But you might be a little bit shocked that, 10 people got sick there that night or whatever the deal is, but it never stopped you from eating there in the first place. And speaking of food, let's just start with McDonald's. And I'm not sure that this headline really affected people.
It didn't affect people only because it's McDonald's, and McDonald's always has the stigma attached. But on some level, it's also kind of disturbing. Just keep in mind, they've been in business since 1954.
And look, we're for the most part, we McDonald's all the time. We're McDonald's apologists. You just never thought that it'd be like McDonald's offering fresh beef.
Yeah,
would be a headline. Now,
it shouldn't be. It's like when, I can't remember the juice company. It's targeted at kids, and it's probably 20 years ago, but their big thing was they advertised this juice, whatever the hell it was, but the tagline at the end of the commercial, keep in mind, they're selling juice, but the commercial ended with new and improved, now with 10% real fruit juice.
It was juicy
and I thought,
juice.
but you call it juicy juice, and now you're excited because it's 10% real fruit juice, meaning before that, there was less than 10% of real fruit juice. How is this something you celebrate? So I feel the same way with McDonald's.
And maybe I just missed the whole... maybe I wasn't paying attention to Wendy's when they said always fresh, never frozen, fresh beef. I didn't realize that every single other hamburger place really didn't subscribe to that theory. I don't know what Five Guys does. They might have fresh beef. They might have frozen beef. I'm not sure that I know. I know for a fact that when I worked at Burger King...
Wendy's, though, is just pointing out other, drive-through fast food joints.
Yeah.
They never targeted McDonald's specifically.
Right. They were just saying, it was like, that's the difference.
It's the same way Burger King is like, hey, ours aren't cooked on a
they're
flat top
flame broiled.
Flame
broiled, right. So I never thought, okay, are they bad because they're frozen patties? No. I mean, they're still pretty good hamburger, right?
To be honest with you, my concern about McDonald's now using fresh beef, which seems a very big and exciting deal to them.
What are they using then?
Well, but here's my thing, and we've all said this. The one thing about McDonald's, no matter where you go in the United States of America, if you go to McDonald's, if you order a burger, it's going to taste precisely the way you think it's supposed to taste.
Yeah.
Right? It hasn't changed in 1,000 years. So my concern is look, that's great that you're finally going to use fresh beef. I will not question you about what you were serving us before that, but don't change the taste of the burger. I would rather eat whatever it is you're serving because that's what I expect to taste in my mouth. Because if you switch to fresh beef, I just get the feeling that's not what I want from McDonald's. I've never gone to McDonald's and thought to myself, man, oh man, I hope they're looking out for my health.
Even on the classic traditional McDonald's menu, the Quarter Pounder was probably one of my least favorite sandwiches.
Why?
I don't know. I was a Big Mac guy. I'd rather get a couple hamburgers, a couple cheeseburgers, chicken sandwich. You know what I mean? I never got the Quarter Pounder was big and it took up too much space for me. I'd rather have 3 or 4 things than one big sandwich and a fry. So a Quarter Pounder to me, all I'm saying is they're saying 3,500 McDonald's rolled out a fresh Quarter Pounder today. All of them are going to get out by May. So, but at the same time, I don't need a Quarter Pounder. Put it in a Big Mac. Put it in a hamburger. Put it in a cheeseburger.
So wait, are they saying just the Quarter Pounder?
Just the Quarter Pounder. Just the Quarter Pounder.
So wait, hold on. So all this about them now serving 100%, specifically the Quarter Pounder.
One sandwich.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't even realize that. So it's just one
sandwich. And that's the thing with me.
When you point that out, I would be like, guys,
just do it.
Let's just do it. But I feel like if we say this, first of all, people are going to question what we've been serving them if it's not 100% fresh beef. That's the first. I know it's all beef. Beef just means it's from a cow, right? So that's one. But then when you say only 1 cent, to me, this is the worst advertising campaign you could have.
It says cheaper sandwiches like regular hamburgers still use the nice frozen meat for the time being. The chicken sandwiches will still use frozen chicken. Well, we hope so. Filet of fish will still use frozen fish, and the McRib will still use whatever that is.
Non-rib meat.
McDonald's made the move to try to increase the quality of the food to stay competitive with Chick-fil-A, which is interesting because they don't serve hamburgers.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
In-N-Out Burger, which I don't know anything about their burgers other than they're tasty, and Shake Shack, which I have not had yet, but I understand it's on the way and it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
That's all I know. They've invested at least $60 million in making the fresh beef thing happen. So maybe it makes a big difference in the taste of the burger. Who knows? They obviously did it for a reason.
Some frozen burgers are delicious.
That's what I mean. Like, look, man, was anyone complaining about it?
No. Here's one that's going to throw.
I will say, I think for McDonald's it's just tough because you're so used to being the top dog. And there's just so many more options. Like Chick-fil-A was just a Southern thing.
There's a ton of options. The problem that McDonald's has, and they've admitted this themselves, is McDonald's is always exactly what you expect it to be. So even when they've tried to compete and come up with new items, creative items, people don't want it from McDonald's. What we want from McDonald's is the stuff that's already on your menu, right? That's it, man. And
that's all I ever get.
Right. It doesn't matter what they try. Nobody cares unless they say it's for a limited time.
Now,
no one would ever order a McRib if it were permanently on the menu. But if you bring it out, once a year, people go and order the McRib, and everyone's disappointed like they were the last time they bought it.
Here are a couple grandma stories for our question, good or bad. What did you find out after the fact? A guy named Cody Clemens. He's in prison in Memphis, Tennessee. And over the weekend, he asked his 68-year-old grandma, Sarah Griffin, to smuggle him in a cell phone.
Yeah.
Give me the cell phone. So he had a friend give her a bag of Doritos with a cell phone inside, and she passed it off to him. But a guard saw the exchange and asked to look in the bag, and it turned out there wasn't a cell phone inside. It was a bunch of meth, ecstasy, heroin, and painkillers wrapped in black electrical tape. Sarah told the guard she didn't know she was smuggling drugs. She thought she was smuggling she knew she was smuggling.
Right.
She thought she was smuggling in a cell phone to her grandson. But now she's in jail facing a contraband charge, which could get her up to 6 years.
You got Gam arrested, man.
Meanwhile, Cody, by the way, is only doing 3 years in the first place for aggravated burglary.
Now, wouldn't that be something for him to get out 3 years before his grandmother?
So if she would have known that, she probably wouldn't have brought him that bag of Doritos. Now, here's the
Not
other.
probably. She would not have brought that bag of Doritos.
Still a bag full of snacks.
Yeah. Here is the grandma story that's really going to upset a lot of you. All right. A website called Atlas Obscura.
Yeah, Atlas Obscura.
Recently ran an informal survey where they asked people if they had ever found out an old secret family recipe and knew where it came from. Because it was back in the day, you just told, basically you either had it written down someplace, you passed it on, you didn't pass it on. There's a lock and key behind a lot of recipes in people's families. So they did their homework. And what they realized was that most, if not all, of the old secret family recipes were really just plagiarized from a cookbook. Or just their grandmother baking a Betty Crocker cake mix.
But they write it down, right? Hand it to you, and now it's grandma's old great traditional blah, blah, blah.
Yes, the majority of people actually said yes. They found out the secret family recipe was not an original invention after all. Most common recipes that people plagiarize are desserts. The rest of the top 5 stolen recipes are for side dishes, breads or rolls, sauces or jams, and dips in soup.
Dips.
Yep.
So, yeah, exactly.
100%.
Because it's right there on the bottle. People have been calling the show for years after you guys made your buffalo chicken dip, asking, how do you make this crazy buffalo chicken dip?
It was Ted's secret.
But this was
like it's on a bottle of Red Hot.
That one was yours.
Was that mine?
Yeah.
In all fairness, that was at least 8 or 9 years ago. And now every Super Bowl party that I've been to since, where there's a large gathering, has buffalo chicken dip.
Absolutely.
At the
Because
time,
it's delicious.
it was in its infancy, but I don't really think that anybody looks at a box of food and says, you know what, other than the original way that it's supposed to be cooked for its purpose, other than a Lipton soup mix maybe, I'm going to look at this extra recipe they offer on the side and make that instead. Unless you got a can of like cream of mushroom soup.
Because I know you're not going to
Or
eat
something.
the soup.
Right,
I did it this morning with just a tin of Old Bay seasoning.
What was it? There was a recipe on the side.
Yeah, I had forgot. I'm steaming some shrimp, and I was like, oh yeah, half of this, half that.
Yeah, there you go.
What was the other half?
It's just half a beer.
All right.
Or half cup of beer, half cup of water, a couple teaspoons of the
Did
Old
you drink
Bay.
the rest of the beer?
No, I wasn't steaming shrimp today.
I was going to say, you steaming shrimp this morning? Golly, man.
That's what I was thinking.
Invite
Like,
me over.
Jesus Christ, man.
That's awesome.
Steaming
Some protein
shrimp for breakfast.
bro.
All right.
Steaming shrimp and beer.
Yeah. So good or bad, what did you find out after the fact? 844-999-OLA.
We got a couple of comments here, and let's see. It says, I found out the woman that I married had felonies. And keep in mind, that's
All right.
look, I don't know what the felonies were, but the fact that it's plural, I think, says a lot. So it's not like, hey,
more than one.
It's not like I screwed up this one time. That's easy to ignore, right?
It's like the guy who called yesterday and couldn't remember why he was in jail that time.
Yeah, like, dude, you were in jail. I just feel like you should remember. It says, I found out at the beginning of January that my wife wanted a divorce. I found out in the beginning of February that she's seeing a married coworker. Better yet, I caught them making out after a lie and dinner. Just signed the papers 2 days ago. Yay me. LOL.
Hey, good times.
Oh, yeah, man.
You should hook up with that dude's wife.
Didn't that happen to the mayor of Nashville, Tennessee?
What?
Mayor of Nashville, Tennessee was having sex with her bodyguard.
Yeah.
And got busted on it. And
Right.
apparently she'd used government funding, like in the tune of $11,000.
Was she married?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, totally.
So was he.
And so somehow they got popped. I don't know what the deal was, but she was using funds that were, government appropriated to continue on this affair. And it got busted somehow, but like her husband was like watching TV and found out that his wife was cheating on her with like the
Like a news star.
bodyguard. Like he just watched it and was like,
Yeah.
hey, I know. Oh, well, that would be, oh, man.
He saw this on TV?
Pretty sure he found out through the media, which is
That's
terrible.
and that's the bad thing about this stuff, right? Because it's
You're
like,
right.
there's a lot of dudes, right, that like the wife or the girlfriend has somebody, and you're, like they work with, and you go, I'm not going to be the jealous type. It's fine. And he probably was like, I don't know about that bodyguard. And then he sees it on TV, and he's like, I effing knew it.
Exactly.
You know he knew it. Because
I
guys
asked
are the
4
same.
times.
Right? Look, you could introduce a guy to another guy that they've never met from any country on earth at any age, and within 5 minutes, you understand each other, right? I don't know if women do the same thing with women, but guys are pretty simple, man. There's only like 3 different things that we ever do or think about. And you get a real easy sense. So someone's talking to some guy like, hey, man, listen, I'm not the jealous type. I'm just letting you know, this guy. And they're like, no, that's not you, blah, blah, blah. 10 minutes later, you're like, this is what I was trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, no offense, but it just doesn't matter the guy. In the end, we're roughly the same, and it's real easy to get a sense of at least what their motivation is, right?
Yeah.
If nothing else,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing.
I
Like, he might be a good guy, might be a bad guy, but in this moment right now, we absolutely, positively understand each other's motivation 100%.
We wouldn't do half the things that we do in life if we knew how they were going to end.
At least half.
I mean, that's...
man, I would say 75%.
I would even go higher than that. I think...
Like, what do you think the legitimate statistic, if you knew in advance how any particular action was going to end, yeah,
What are the
probably
chances?
75 to 80% you just wouldn't do.
No, but it would be great to have that knowledge. But that's part of this question.
But you don't.
What did you find out after the fact? It probably wasn't the greatest thing in the world. In hindsight, obviously, you probably wouldn't do a lot of things.
I wouldn't sled down city streets on a wood pallet.
No.
Right, something not designed to be slid on.
Yeah, don't tell me there's no NFL athlete out there like drooling over dinner going like, that was a bad idea. They're 54 years old. Like all of a sudden they can't remember if they paid their tab or not. So depending on the situation,
Well, it's a lot different for those guys. Think about the guys that played, in the 70s, right? Back when, men were men and all the rest of the stuff they say. These guys didn't get paid jack.
No.
So you're sitting there drooling out of the side of your mouth and you got paid $80,000 a year, right?
Look,
for this.
yeah.
There's a guy
Totally.
right now, he's going to be drooling out of the side of his face, but your violin gets a little smaller because he also bankrolled $25 million.
I have...
You know what I mean? And so, and I hear what everyone's saying, but my thought is like, look, and most people agree with this. If somebody were to beat your ass to the point that you're drooling out of the side of your face and you launched a lawsuit against them and they said they're going to pay you $80,000 a year for a period of 7 years, everyone would tell you just got ripped off. Well, that's the 70s football players. If they said, same thing happened to you, this guy beat your ass, you're drooling out of the side of your face, and you launch a lawsuit, and they say you're going to make $15 million every year for the next 7 years. You go, hey, man, you know what? Your condition sucks, but that's a trade.
Truth of the matter is, though, most people who play at that level, the average NFL player used to be was 2 years. Depending on the position, you could break it down a little bit differently, but it was like 2 years. So anybody who has played up until that level, if they played collegiately, they've been banging their head. They're good enough to play college ball. I don't care if you're playing Division III. I don't care if you're playing football up into those ages, you are getting your head knocked in by somebody. And I've got a cousin who played college football, and he started deteriorating pretty quickly, like in his mid-40s. Now, he never got a pro check. He never got any, you know what I mean? But his marriage started to fail. He'd have to go in dark rooms, and he couldn't take light, and he couldn't take sounds, and he'd have days of depression, try to come out of it, and he tried to keep his job up, but he couldn't concentrate, he couldn't sit still, he'd go into addiction, you know what I mean? This is a guy who was a second-team defensive lineman.
Right.
And yes, it was Division I football, but like it took a while. Everyone just thought he was going to. Everyone thought that he was just becoming a substance abuser.
Right.
But that was not the case. And now, thank God, things have caught up a little bit. I think even though he's not with his family anymore, they understand he's gone to see a specialist, some other things, and they realize, like, oh, God, man, your brain's black. Like,
but he's still alone, Miles.
He is alone in a closet.
No, he lost his family.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He's not married anymore. But
that's a weird silver lining.
The good thing was they could not figure out what was wrong with it.
Right.
So now, like, they have a track. Okay, all right, now we've got it. Because they never really studied this.
But he also suffers from loneliness now. I'm just saying.
Now he just Instagrams pictures of sad dinners that he sits alone and eats. It looks like a noodle-roni or something. I'm not sure what it. Good or bad? What did you find out after the fact? 844-999-OLA. Your call's on the way. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Positive drinking story holds the key to a long life. We'll do a positive drinking story, ironically enough, right before we drink a toast there with a shot of the day. Our question today, good or bad? What did you find out after the fact? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Jess. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola.
Hola.
Okay, so about 12 years or so ago, I kind of wanted to take up BMX riding, and I used to skate a little bit here and there, but so anyway, I started getting reasonably okay, I thought, and one day I took a really bad fall and I fell on my butt, and it was really bad. I mean, it was probably discolored for 6 months or so, and initially.
Wait,
when it happened,
your butt was a different color than the rest of your body for half of a year.
Yeah, probably 3 months, but then it started to slowly heal. And I mean, we're talking blue and purple and green and yellow and
the whole rainbow.
You know what? I'd fight through it.
What do they call that? A contusion?
Hematoma.
Hematoma. Okay.
You have sex with that girl with the purple butt. Yeah.
No, I seriously couldn't even sit and I was a delivery driver at the time, so it was just excruciating, just trying to get in and out of the truck.
People thought you were one of those people who like to lean when they drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I had to. I'm not even kidding. It hurt so bad.
Wait,
and
how old were you? How old were you when you decided to take up BMX biking?
Probably 18, 19.
Wow. Okay.
So, none of my jerk friends told me you're supposed to get these types of things drained, and I was scared. I didn't want to go to the doctor anyway, and so I just kind of was like, I'll just kind of see how it does on its own, and it did eventually I guess I wouldn't say fully recover. I have a ball of scar tissue in my butt cheek now. I mean, it's not noticeable. You can't see it or anything, but I know it's there.
No, keep talking. You're turning us on.
Oh, baby.
Scar tissue, butt cheeks. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Ironically, I had a giant hematoma on my leg right below my butt, and I have the same little lump of scar tissue.
It never went away.
Did it hurt really bad to sit down for a while? Do you have the same?
It was brutal, and the bruise is bad enough when they happen, but she's right. It's probably was in her, but it drips all the way down your leg.
Right.
So the whole back of your leg is black and blue.
And not only that, but it's fluid. So when you feel bloated, you really do feel bloated in that one area, kind of a thing. Because you
you know what?
Pressure.
So yesterday I smashed my hand really bad at work, and my finger, it's probably the worst I've ever smashed my hand. Or my finger, I should say. And so, underneath the nail, it was all, purple and throbbing, and my coworkers were like, what you got to do is you got to take a hot needle. And I thought they might go under the nail, but I looked at a YouTube video, so I actually did, my own minor surgery this morning.
Jesus Christ, man.
Do you have health insurance?
Yeah, I do, but I'm really scared about that. I'd rather do it myself. I'm in the union, so I have good insurance. I don't know.
That's why they give it to you, man.
Yeah, you're not a doctor. You shouldn't be able to go and watch a YouTube video and figure out how to operate on yourself. In theory, you could watch an open heart surgery on YouTube. I'm sure it's there somewhere or something, some basic procedure, but you may want to let a professional do some of that just in case there's infection.
Well, think about it like this.
I don't know.
Everyone that's a doctor had to spend 8 years in school, and either because it's tough enough that it takes 8 years or the dumbest people in America are becoming doctors. I'm going to reason that it takes 8 years to get it. So I just feel like if I could do this with a 3-minute YouTube video, right, there'd be no need for the hell with health insurance, bitch. I got the internet. I got YouTube. But it worked out. How does your finger feel now? How does it look?
It feels a lot better. It still looks really bad, though. But, I mean, I talk to the other guys that I work with. We work in construction, and so, it's things like that. I don't think typically go to the doctor, and it wasn't that bad. I think it's going to be okay.
You're tougher than I am. Mm-hmm. Good or bad, what did you find out after the fact? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Alex. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola. So what did you find out after the fact?
So, sophomore year of high school, I was sitting on the couch just watching TV with my parents and my girlfriend. And I had my arm casually over her shoulder and grabbing boob. You know, casual, normal stuff.
You're sitting there with your parents grabbing your girlfriend's boob. I like that boob. Okay.
We had a blanket. We had a blanket.
Okay.
Casual
boob grab.
Casual boob grab.
I looked at my mom and said, "You know what, man? I'm going to grab my girlfriend's boob." Mom, you are hot.
Months later, my mom told me that she knew the whole time.
Of course, they're not stupid.
Right.
Look, man, I don't care if you have a son or a daughter, if they're sitting there with their significant other under a blanket at that age, assume their hands are anywhere other than themselves.
When you were 14 and taking an hour-long shower, she knew exactly why you're in there. She used to have to drag your ass in there once every 3 days to get you to even wash. Now you're in there volunteering like, you've never had a shower before. Parents are way more intuitive than you think they are, man.
It's not just parents. Like, I remember being that age and going somewhere with a girl, and then, like, I was like, yeah, you guys didn't. Like, yeah, we all knew. Like, there was just a blanket over you.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
And look, they'd be disappointed if you weren't doing anything. Yeah. They're like, well, it wasn't cold. Why the hell else did you have a blanket?
I'm not disappointed about that. That doesn't bother me.
What's that?
Yeah, if my kid wanted to do something like that, I'd be like, no, I'm not disappointed that you're not doing that. Under that blanket over there. You know what I mean? Like,
only because it's your kid.
Yeah, it's your kid. We're talking about buddies.
Oh, yeah, your buddy. What are you, stupid?
Yeah,
don't
make
it
weird,
man.
Buddies are fine.
Yeah, my kids, you better not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good or bad, what did you find out after the fact? 844-999. More of your calls coming up here in seconds.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.